asking if they could come early. And I was like, yes, I'll have my fiance meet you there.
Did you call John? Was he like fine?
Yeah.
All right, so we did the whole research piece. We want to make sure it's where these donors are coming from, that we qualified them, and then we're going to go through the cultivation process as well. And so after research, then comes cultivation. In cultivation, of course, we are going to come up with strategies for each of the donors. We're going to segment them. We talked about the tiers, and then we're going to figure out how we can involve other members of our team if we need that when we deal with relationship mapping. And so these are sort of kind of the overarching pieces that we do. I'm just going to fly through this piece. The big leap for us is making sure that we don't rush the process. The process is very time consuming when you're talking about, say we start with 25 tier one individuals, just to spend the time making sure that the information is accurate. We have the right phone number, we have the right email address, and then building out a strategic plan just for that particular prospect. It can be time consuming, but trust and believe me when I tell you it is worth it because these are people that you want to get to know the organization and, of course, get to know you, but it takes time to build those relationships and cultivation around that. And so most people get stuck in just the research piece. Like they get the research, they get all the information, and it's like, okay, what do I do with this? I'm going to make sure that we don't get stuck there. And I think working with me, you won't, because we're going to move through this process very quickly and just kind of walk through what are the steps that you're going to take now that you have all these profiles. And I'm still working on profiles. I Grace Wallace, who is my VP of client services, normally does the screenings and the profiles. And this is probably too much information, but she's out. She just had a miscarriage. And so she is out
Well,
for a minute. So it is falling on me. And so pray for Grace and her husband. She's pretty much a newlywed. They've been married for less than 2 years
Oh,
and was really excited, first baby. And so she is out. So I know I've promised you all some more profiles for your area. So just bear with me because I now it's a matter of that. And this and the system isn't like I can just like hire somebody to do it. You actually have to know the system to be able to do the work. So it'll take me longer to train somebody than to just figure out doing it myself. So, with that said, when we start looking at planning for the prospects, I want you to look at the first 25. And the first 25 are going to be the ones that we're going to build the plans around that I'm about to walk you through. And so the first plan is looking at how do we begin to look at building clarity around the information that we received, targeting the individuals that we had, seeing where they may fall. Is this individual a candidate for um, an annual gift? Is this individual a candidate for a major gift? So we're going to talk about the gift levels that they may fall into. And then we're going to define kind of the ideal donor profile. And we're going to make sure that we have a couple of different capacity ranges for them, meaning that they are mission aligned. You will see, I just did one yesterday for another club. And when I pulled it up, they had like almost 57, 58 people who give specifically to youth serving organizations. So then what we do with that information, we look at, I think I told you one of the things I want you to look at when you first see the profile, after you see all the basic stuff, is charitable. Are they charitable? And then with whether they're hobbies and what do they give to? And so those are going to be in the personas. You want to make sure that you look at that because then we can overlay to see exactly the match. Because then if they're already giving a youth serving organizations. We can find out who they are. Are they giving to the Y? Are they giving to another youth serving organization? And we can then dig it deeper to see what those gifts are. Any questions? Y'all are so good. I love it. And then we're gonna audit internal assessment of our data and see where there is any kind of assessment gaps. And this basically is what you're doing when you're looking at your fancy term for looking at your spreadsheet that I've given you and seeing if those donors that came up in those zip code study are already donors that are in your CRM. And then you want to look at the strategy and the matrix and the volume and quantity of the gift. And so common channels could be board referrals. There'll be board members that may give you referrals or they may know these individuals. Mission driven, they know your organization. And organizations that then individuals that you then want to invite to come into a club visit, for instance. And then you want to do your screening. We've done that. And then we're going to write proposals. Each of the 25, you're going to have some kind of proposal, whether it's written or whether it's just a strategy that we'll walk through. It'll be a 30, 90, 60-day plan that we'll walk through of how to implement the data that we've gathered from these individuals. Excuse me, I'm going to take a sip of water. And then we're going to do this pathway. And the pathway basically is the same as the donor circle qualification, which is a engagement pathway. And then not all prospects are ready to move to speaking with you or coming to a tour or responding to your email. They're not ready, but it doesn't mean that you're not going to keep dripping information to continue. Because again, we're talking about strangers here. We're talking about people that you just found through a zip code search that have no idea who you are, maybe don't even know what the Boys and Girls Clubs is. So we have to be strategic in how we have the information flowing to them into calls, tours, discovery meetings, come to coffee, whatever it is. But some of those actually start with just sending your newsletter and again, talking, connecting with them on social media and just beginning a relationship. What is the ownership and accountability for this? We want to make where's the source of the prospect? Who's qualifying them? Who's cultivating and soliciting them? And how are we going to track and review our progress? And so we're going to make sure that we have a tracking mechanism in place. I think you all already do that within the CRM, and you can answer that for me, Ryan, a way that is it in your task or where do you track the activity?
Yeah, we track activity through tasks.
Okay. And then is it a report that's pulled weekly, monthly, quarterly? How are you
Yeah,
doing?
there can be. We actually talked about not pulling a tasks report,
Hmm.
as or at least if we're gonna pull it, we need to use it the right way, so that it's not just like, hey, here's this report.
And
Because
and what the purpose of the report is a test report for you personally to kind of see, am I caught up on all my tasks, or is it a report that is going to Catherine?
to my understanding, it's more so that leadership can see that we're doing stuff on a daily and weekly basis. But I also think that one of the challenges that we're seeing with that is that Outlook isn't connected to it. And we want to be able to like show what we've actually been. So like if you have a meeting scheduled, you would have to double it, like double entry. And Kim hates inefficiency. So like you don't want to put it in your calendar and then also have to go put it in my Club Hub to log it, in the sense of it could
Because
just be.
Jackie working on trying to
Yes, that's the
migrate
reason that
those
I asked
to,
about connecting the calendar with tasks in my Club Hub, is so that it will pull the tasks report straight from our calendar. Yeah.
okay. Yeah, because this is a piece that we want to make sure that every prospect has an assigned person, and then there's accountability around tracking what's happening with those prospects. We're not just running these reports or doing these screens and having a bunch of people that we know qualify and not have any action around it. And it's really important because when you're looking at an organization like yours that's relied heavily on grants, and now you're trying to build an annual campaign, and an annual campaign consists of individual donors, not corporations, not businesses, not foundations, or any government grants, it's solely individuals. You want to ramp up the individual giving from a one-time gift to a recurring gift, whether that's a monthly recurring gift, which is ideal, or at least an annual recurring gift that you know that's coming in that fits that donor's lifestyle. They're going to give to you once a year, but it gives you the opportunity to really become sustainable and tracking, your ROI and where the resources are coming from. And it just helps with better planning to know how to connect with that person, when to thank them, when to remind them, particularly if they've given a pledge. And so having a 90-day acquisition action plan is really key because it really helps to translate strategy into execution. I like weekly acquisition activities. And so, yes, you have a portfolio or labyrinth or whatever list of group of people that you're working with. This is separate. This is in addition to those people that are already donors to the organization. These are people that you want to cultivate to bring them into the family, if you would.
Okay.
And so, of course, then you want to track your the performance indicators in reporting, and you just nailed it of how you're doing that. How are we adding new prospects? Are we going to be qualifying those prospects? How many donor meetings or prospect meetings you've had with them? How many tours you've given to folks that are not in the CRM that are new will be new to the organization? And I think for a point of clarity, and we need to figure this out probably sooner rather than later, is it really prudent to add prospects to the CRM before they become donors? And that is not a question that I can answer. That's a question for you and Ryan, particularly, and Catherine to figure out if that's something you want to do, because it can overwhelm the CRM unless you have a way to tag them,
Yeah,
that
that's
they're
kind of the question, right?
prospects,
Does it make sense to add them if it's not
if they're not donors.
right? What value
Yeah,
do they provide us if they're not a donor?
exactly. So you're like really coming up with a tracking mechanism, even whether that's just a spreadsheet to really keep account of how you are connecting with them as well. And then you want to make sure that you're aligning the message, that you know what you're going to be saying to these prospects. Um, and is it the packet that you all give to people that come on a tour? Is it making sure that you understand what the clubs need? And I think I've asked this question before. Do the clubs have a wish list of things that they need in kind? Because sometimes that's a very easy entry point for a prospect that comes in. So it might not be monetary, but it may be something that clubs needs, and it can be booked as in kind, but you would still get credit for it because it's has a monetary value. Making sure that you have talking points before you reach out to these folks, whether that's going to be through an email, connecting with them with a phone call, whatever that is, making sure that that you've planned what you're going to be presenting, saying, whether that's an invitation to a club for a tour, whatever that is. So let's pull up. I'm gonna let you all pull up one key person. And Ryan, don't pull up somebody you know. Pull up one profile, and we're gonna look at the profile. And I'm gonna stop sharing my screen. Maybe there are way too many screens open here. And Ashley, you pull up one.
Okay.
um, And then I'm just gonna have you, whatever that person is, share your screen and walk me through.
I'm picking Eloise.
Multiple people can share. Just this. I might have to turn my screen off. Just let me know if you can, one of you can share your screen. We'll do one at a time.
Want me to do one first?
Go ahead. I'll pick David Stafford.
Okay. You pick that because it sounds like now it's happening.
Of course. Matthew Stafford is the GOAT. Oh, come on. Back to life. There we go. Sweet. Okay. Are you going?
Yeah, I'm trying to find the share button again.
All right. I'm going to mute.
Hello. Oh,
Turn your volume on. I turn mine off.
we didn't really plan this correctly, did we?
We're not hooked up to the thing like we were.
I'm really trying to find how to share this, and for some reason it's not. Okay, found it. Okay, can everyone see my screen?
Yes, we can.
All right, so we have Eloise Fleming. She is single. She lives in Evans. It says she's single, but her personal email is Jim and Eloise.
Mr. Jim passed away.
Oh, that's sad. She's
Yeah.
78.
Yeah.
She makes a lot of money.
They're loaded.
$1 million to 1.5 million. And she has a lot of discretionary income. So she could really donate a good bit.
Yes.
She likes crafting
True.
and family and lifestyle. So that'd be a good fit for Boys and Girls Club, home and garden. Maybe she could do something with our gardening beds that we're always trying to put in each club, and science and technology. So STEM programs, that would be good. All right.
I love that. Okay, so some of the, see if I can do it. Some of the ways that you'll see on my screen, if you can still see it, are some of the tactics that you can use to employ specifically reaching out to this person. Intro email, if we have an email address, of course.
Yep, we do.
Social media engagement. I always go in and dig deep and see if people want, particularly somebody of that age group, they're going to be on Facebook most of the time.
True. It's true.
And following them, liking them, soft introduction. Doing when you do an intro email, making sure that you give them the option to opt out of future emails. That's just a courtesy because you are emailing them cold. It's almost like telemarketer in reverse,
Yeah.
So making sure that you give that, give that option.
Mm-hmm.
And then say that they do engage. Then you want to, of course, decide whether you want to do like an email series or, again, we're not talking about immediately asking for money, but it's more immediately bringing awareness. And say that first email, the person emails back, oh, I love the Boys and Girls Clubs. I know it, they know a lot about what the clubs do already. Of course, then that person's interested and you're going to get them in for a tour, or invite them to an event if we're close to one of the events coming up. So those are some of the strategies that you can employ. So let's talk about Eloise. What would you do with Eloise first, given us?
I think the first thing I would do with Eloise would stalk her on social media. I would look her up, see what she's interested in, gauge her, probably how active she is on social media, and then I would probably come up with an email and send her an email. And I'd ask her to follow us on our socials in the email.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. That's great. I love that strategy. Okay. Do you know right now, because I'm not looking in your folder, how many profiles you have already? Because
Uh,
I promised you all 25, but I don't think I'm even close to that number.
I don't know off the top of my head if it and
Okay.
if it's just from if it's from the Washington County ones that you sent me, I don't think it was 25.
Okay. Because I know we pulled 55 individuals,
Yeah.
um, but I hadn't done the census run. So I needed to go back and run it again because I did it at like $500,000 or above,
And we
which,
did an overall profile, not like individual.
okay. Okay. The summary one. Okay.
The summary.
All right. Perfect. Anything else you want to add to Eloise that you would do?
Um, mm-mm, not right now. I mean, if she responded, I would talk to her and tell her more about Boys and Girls Club and some of the programs we have and ask her if she'd want to come on a tour.
I would add, um, given her age, I would say anyone that is 60 years or older, which you'll find a lot of older people in your prospect list, I would send something snail mail.
Okay.
Older people love snail mail. I'm one of them. I still get mail. Yeah, something about having, a handwritten note with the annual report, or I don't know what kind of collateral you all have, but if you have something that's nice, that looks good, that you can send with a note, introducing yourself. Hey, I'm new to the, Boys and Girls Clubs with Augusta. Would love for you to I would love to get to know you, for you to get to know us. Here's a copy of our latest, whatever,
Yeah.
newsletter, annual report. That will carry more weight than an email for an initial piece. And again, we're only talking about people that are 60 years old. Make sense?
Yep. That sounds great.
Awesome. All right, you can unshare, and we're gonna have Ryan pull up someone and walk us through that individual.
Oh, let me stop sharing. I'm sorry.
And I think you need to mute yourself, or else it's gonna be the little echo.
Yes, I need to mute myself.
And Ryan, you are muted.
Can y'all see that?
I can't see anything but you all. Did you share your screen?
I
Because I
see it.
Yeah,
can't see it. Why can't I see it?
I don't know. It says I'm screen sharing.
I see it.
Can you unshare and share again? Because I just stopped my share because I don't know why I can't
Sure.
see you, or I can only see you all.
Let me
Um,
try one more time. All right, I'm gonna do it again. Can you see it?
now I can. Yes, it is
That's
there.
weird.
Can you see
That
it?
Yeah.
was weird. Yeah, that was weird. It wasn't there on my screen.
Okay, yeah. So I picked David Stafford. AngelRealtyBellSouth.net is his email. So I noticed that that means he's in real estate. He's 33, so he's relatively young. He's single. His home address is in Evans, which is like the upper, nicer area of Augusta. Um, his characteristics, he's a charitable homeowner. Charitable givings are children's charities, environment and wildlife, international aid and affairs, veterans, and other community involvement. Interests and hobbies, crafting, education, personal or professional environment, family and lifestyle, food and drink, health and personal care, home garden, pet owner, reading, sports, travel. That makes sense. That sounds like an average 30-year-old that's single. Home value is between 750,000 and 1 million. He is a homeowner. He makes over $250,000 a year. So he's got a high capacity of giving. I think something that sticks out to me is that the number one charitable giving is children's charities.
Wonder if that's a children's hospital.
That's kind of what I was thinking. It's got to be a local children's hospital because that's got such a huge impact in our community. Um, I think this is someone who I would reach out to by phone. I would call this guy. You know, he's 30. He probably doesn't want to receive anything in the mail, and I doubt he's going to respond to his email quickly because if he does real estate, he gets 1 million emails a day. You're okay. Um, yeah, so I'd probably call him and introduce myself and see if I could take him to, I don't know, maybe like a sports bar kind of vibe and go eat some wings and just get to know one another and then have the opportunity to ask him about his charitable contributions and go from there. I think we probably have a lot in common. I'm sure he likes golf, you know.
Mm-hmm.
I would probe, find his interests, figure out how they correlate to mine.
Yeah, and a person like that is going to be really well connected in the community. So in that discovery meeting, whether it's at the local pub or whatever, you're not only learning about him, but you're also wanting to solicit his interest in helping you connect with other people in the community. Want to see how you can tap into his network with him being the facilitator of making introductions for you.
Yeah.
This spreadsheet. Okay. Anything else with him?
I don't, did I just stop sharing on accident?
You did. That's okay. But yes, I need to see it. So please put it back up.
Yes, I'm about to. I clicked at the bottom on accident where it says screen share and then I just went away. There we go. The only other thing I noticed about him that stands out is he's single at 33. So that means all of his money goes to him.
Not really. Look down at the bottom. He has a child.
Hmm. I wonder if his child attends the Boys and Girls Clubs. David
Yep.
Stafford.
So when you start looking at through his social media, you're gonna you'll have a sense of how old the child is, because if it's a child that's playing sports or whatever, of course, parents are going to be posting about it. So do a little bit more, research, because at 33, single parent, it could be a host of stories around that. And understand that could be not so good information as well. So doing a little more digging, I think it's going to be helpful. But it seems like he has a child and he's giving to children's charities, it means that it may be true. So yeah. So trying to figure out, find out what the age of the child is and all that stuff before even making that call, doing as much gathering of data that you can, just to have it in the back of your mind. It will steer the conversation as well. All right. So thank you for that. Anything else you want to add?
Oh, no, I think that's probably it about David.
Awesome. So this exercise basically was to give you all a sense of how to use this data when it comes through. Like, how do you begin to think about it? Because I don't think it's well, maybe you tell me. Is this something that you would normally do? Like, is this how you would track your activities with a new prospect?
Now, yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So just moving on, the cultivation pipeline, we've talked about kind of like those first introductions, how you get them in, those first meetings, everything went well, you met, they responded to your emails, you're now connected on social media, they're following the clubs, they've come out for a tour. Now we're ready for the ask. And so what that ask looks like, it depends on the person. So it could be you making that ask, you continuing to connect with them, to listen to what their interests are. Like Ashlyn's first woman that she did the tour with, who really wants to volunteer, volunteers 90% of the time become donors. But you'll find all that information after you connected with them. You'll get a sense of where they are. And we're going to do something called an ask session, but then we're going to have making sure that this is kind of high level strategy talk in relationship mapping. Are you the person making the ask, or did you find out in your time of gathering data that there is a board member or another person in leadership, or someone in your community that that knows this person? Maybe they're better fit to make the ask. Let me give an example of that. Recently, I had a board member of an organization reach out to me to say, "Hey, I have a friend that's in Nashville, Tennessee. I want you to invite him to coffee. I told him a lot about you, and I just want you to share information about the organization, because this person's on the board of the organization." So, I have a whole proposal ready in my bag. I have like everything in my toolkit. And get to the break. It wasn't even breakfast. We were going for coffee at a breakfast shop at a coffee shop. And this gentleman didn't even want to talk about the organization. He actually had like looked me up on LinkedIn and followed me and all of this. And he literally, all the conversation was um, my prayer life. He noticed that I was a minister. Talk to me about this. And so we just into this whole thing that had nothing to do with the organization. I wasn't I was not in the least upset about that, even though I had done a lot of work, I was nervous, um, didn't know what to expect. It was a very calm place to talk about what they wanted to talk about. So talk about what they want to talk about.
Yeah.
And so, long story short, I ended up with my pastoral hat on, found out he was the CEO of a hospital corporation in Tennessee, one of the largest ones in the town. And he wanted to talk about like how does he find time and space to be with God, to be with the Lord. And we literally just spent that time, 2 hours talking about that. Um, I invited him to a group that I knew about for executives, high-level CEOs, men's kind of group that does prayer and helping them to be strategic about simple things I shared with him. I'm going somewhere with this story, by the way. Simple things I share with him, like, what do you do when you first get up in the morning? Reach for his cell phone. All right, let's not do that. Like, I gave him some tips. And so it's a really great meeting. I left the meeting like energized because I'm always energized when I talk about the Lord. But then when I put on my business hat, I was like, well, I'm not sure if Matthew, who is a board member who had told me to meet with this person, would be pleased that we didn't talk about the organization. So that's where my mind went. Okay. A week later, um, the organization gets a check from this individual for $500,000,
Oh my
a
gosh.
$500,000, $500,000. So I say all of this to say two things. Well, actually, I'm going to ask you, what do you take away from this before I go into this field? What's your takeaway?
Sometimes you follow the Lord's plan.
Well, Lori's plan, but also the prospect. He was still a prospect, even though he knew the board member. He was a prospect, and he wanted to talk about what he wanted to talk about.
And that's okay.
And you
Sometimes
got to make that's okay. And I'm telling you this from experience.
it's not
You
about
can
us.
hear, but it's not about you. Do not go in and just automatically fire hosing people with the Boys and Girls Clubs of Greater Augusta and how great you are. No. Listen carefully. Let them set the pace. They'll start with a question. First of all, you're thanking them for the meeting. You're thanking them for blah, blah, blah. And then let them read and start dripping information if they're not, the talker, but do not fire hose.
Yeah.
It's just building relationship is really needing, and you'll have to really develop a sense of discernment if the person is like meeting with you because, oh my God, the person told me to meet with you. What do you want? Kind of thing. Or in this case, this man was struggling and he had spent some time researching me. And so he knew that I was a minister. So he came in armed with, I need help because I'm in burnout mode. I'm in this, that, and the other. I haven't found time to spend with God. We spent 2 hours and we ended that meeting in prayer. We didn't begin it in prayer because how would I know to do that? But we ended that meeting in prayer. So what are some other um takeaways from that story for you? I'm about to stand to mine
I've
because we
got to run to the restroom really quick. I'm
okay,
so sorry, y'all.
that's okay, go. What are some other takeaways? And actually, you are on mute, so I don't know if that's going to create the echo if you come off,
Can you hear me?
but I can hear you without. So,
Yeah, you can
um,
hear me okay?
yeah. So, what are
Okay.
some of the other takeaways? I like what you said about, oh my good Lord,
I know.
leading.
Sometimes
Hmm.
it's not his plan. Um, so I think that one of the key takeaways is you built a relationship with him and it was on his terms. It was what he wanted to discuss, but he invested in you and in the relationship in the end.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And that was just so unexpected because literally when I left, I felt good and full and like all of that fuzzy stuff. But at the end of the day, when I put on my major gift officer hat, it was just like, I wonder what this is going to turn out to be. Because I knew I had to report back to the board member
Yeah.
of how the meeting went. Um, and when I reported back and I was like, well, I love your friend Greg. He was amazing. I learned about his family and they have they adopt kids, so they don't have any of their natural kids, and just learned a lot about him as a person.
Mhm.
And then I think his name was Matthew, the board member. He said, "That's how Greg is. Greg is just a good old down to a home earthy person. He wears his heart on his sleeve, but he's already reached out to me and he likes you a lot. And he's gonna meet with you again, and you added such value to him. So he had already circled back to his friend who was on the board.
That's really
Fast
good.
forward, fast forward now a few months later, because this happened, this is almost February. So this was August of last year. And fast forward, I found out that his friend is going to be invited to be on the board of directors of that organization. Because since
Oh,
that time, they're not clients of mine anymore, but since that time, um, he and his wife have given about $3 or $4 million to the
wow,
organization.
what a
Yeah.
blessing.
And so it's all about who do you bring to the meeting with you? Who do you share your prospect list with to see who might on your advisory committee know these people? Um, because you don't want to go in cold. Like that was like a board member set that meeting. So those are some of the strategies that you can use to make sure that you get the best bang for your time, whether that time is in the research piece or that time is in the meeting, the face to face. So maybe we should have took our break now. We're at the hour. Um, so let's do that. Let's take our 10-minute break
Okay,
and then we will come back at 11:10. It's not quite 11 o'clock yet. So let's come back at 11:10. All right.
okay, sounds good.
All right. Let me pause all of this stuff.
All right. All right.
Excuse me. It was funny because our next little slide was going to be the break. So I just moved things around. It's so funny. It's a good time and rhyme. All right, so now this next portion also all about strategy and what are the steps. Let me ask you. Um, had Julius send you out the PowerPoint from last week, the workbook, the probably the speaker notes and something else. Did you receive that? Did you appreciate that? Would you like that in the future? What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I like it. I think it's always good to have the material.
Yeah, super helpful. I would agree.
Okay, well, I will continue that because there'll be, I think, a good reference to go back to at some point, and then I shared it with their leadership as well, since they're not, of course, able to make these events, and so I think we will continue with that. And then on Monday, we'll have a workbook for this session. And what I will do is, today is Friday. I'll try to see if Julius can um, get it out to you all so you have it before our meeting. You may not have a chance to look at it before, but it won't just be sprung on you when we meet on Monday. It's no holiday, is it? That's too
Yeah.
many holidays. But it will be February, right? Whew. I don't know where the
I can't
month
believe
is.
it's almost Groundhog Day.
Really?
I think that's in March. We're gonna blink and it'll be spring though.
Yeah. I think the next holiday that's on the calendar says Super Bowl on the 8th.
True. And the
On my
President's
calendar.
Day.
Yeah. And then President's Day, Valentine's Day. Yeah. But yeah, those things are coming up. So I'll try to make sure you have all of those. Um, and then we can go through things. Because now, let me just tell you what's happening. We are 90% done and ready for you all to start making these calls. Just wanted to make, because I know you're anxious to get out there, hit the ground running, but we wanted to do this in baby steps. You feel ready? Feel like you've
100%.
been ready. Like you've been ready, particularly Ryan. He's like, you too, actually, both of you. But we wanted to go through these little steps and kind of background. And then I think next week we'll do the relationship mapping and we'll spend the second half going through challenges. You'll have made some calls. We'll kind of rehearse what happened, what didn't. Like suggest that before you make calls, you do get into TV again for some scenarios, just in case. You never know. And then track those calls. Like when you make some outreach, because right now it's only the prospects and maybe a few that you have in your library that maybe you didn't really connect with in the year end. And so we can strategize about that on Monday. So we can come back on next Friday and see how it went. All right. So we're going to do the strategy to build momentum. And that is first, we've done this identification, lead capture, collect basic profile information for segmentation. We gathered all the information available, emails, interests, location. And then it says create initial database entry, but we're going to keep these all on the spreadsheet. And then maybe create a tracker. You can do a tracker in Excel with your spreadsheet that you have. So introductory outreach. So now we have these profiles. We're gonna either do exactly what you said you're gonna do with each of them, because all of them it's not gonna be a blanket. I'm sending everybody an email. You're gonna look through their profile, look at their age. Am I gonna send a snail mail? You're gonna be strategic, in other words. Whether it's an email series, a welcome series, a phone call, like Ryan's gonna do with some of those. Um, an opportunity to provide low pressure engagement opportunities. And so you get to determine based on looking at that profile, how you want to engage that person, put it on the tracker. Do I need to send you a tracker or do you want to create your own? Because I can send you one.
I would love it if you'd send us one.
I would love that too.
I will send you a tracker.
I know that's the lazy answer, but it's just the honest one.
No, it's fine. Like, yep, that's gonna be on Julius's to-do list before he leaves today. So I have him because he tracks everything. Um, and he has all kinds of trackers, so it's fine. So that's day one. I don't even know where I have these days on here. Day seven, whatever. I guess the day seven works because it's going to be a week that we're kind of going through that exercise. And then this one says day 45, share deep dive content about the program, deliver impact storytelling, extend community involvement, invitation for tours, volunteering. There's some kind of event, whatever. We don't have any of those right now. Soft ask by day 60. So this will be February 1. So by what's day 60? March, the end of March, the 1st of April. We're going to be
Yes.
ready to ask these people. All
Let's
right.
do it.
And then by day 120, final engagement. It says send gentle reminder, present auxiliary engagement options, provide multiple ways to support the mission. And that final engagement really is for folks that didn't give in the 60-day class window. And you're going to get people that's going to give at the first meeting or
Yeah.
say, I want to volunteer or I want to come on the club tour. There are going to be all kinds of scenarios. So I will be with you to walk with you through all of those. And so I am making myself available. I need to check my text messages though. I think I'm going to give you another phone number to text me on because I don't know if you know right now I'm in Panama. So it's probably why I didn't see that text message. So I'm going to give you another number to text me on because when you get into these scenarios next week where you're doing some outreach, I want to make myself available to you in case you have those. So let me just drop that in the chat now. This is my chat to everyone. We need to get away. All right, lock that one in. That'll be a better number for me. That you can text me on because I'll see it right away. Okay, so let's look at the 90-day donor prospect tracker, which is what your tracker is going to look like, but I'm just going to walk you through these steps. Um, Donor acquisition, prospect tracker, weekly execution, management oversight, and board, in this case, is your advisory board visibility, keeping them in the loop as much as possible. Then creating this smooth management piece, providing visibility for your leadership, linking daily activities and any revenue results, which is going to be key. You're going to set the context and making sure that this tracker, it has predictable outcomes. And that's what you want. So you're going to convert the names from qualified donors. We're going to tier them. We're going to make sure that they align with what you're doing, and you're going to have a daily workflow with them. And of course, daily updates. You're tracking in the CRM, and unfortunately, if you're creating the tracker for the prospects, you are going to be double dipping because you have your existing donors that you are tracking, tasks, all of that in the CRM. We cannot put these prospects in the CRM yet until they become a donor. So you will have two places where you're having to track information. But if you think about it, it is really your gold mine. Yes, you have the donors that are in the CRM, in the database, that are assigned to you, but these are people that we want to cultivate to bring in new money. And so building out a strategy for them is very important. And it really helps you to really go back and look at that moves management process and how you are moving these donors through the conversion process, converting them for a brand new cold prospect into an actual donor. So we'll do a prospect, the tracker, has all these different things. Of course, ownership and accountability. Ownership is you, accountability is to me for now, particularly when Catherine is out, but it'll be to Catherine. And any flags weekly, we will connect. Because when Catherine is out, I will be leading that 15 minutes. Who are you calling today? Whatever that meeting is designed to do. I'm shadowing her in a couple of weeks around that. So I'll be the point person to do that, and we will do that meeting daily, and then track every prospect. And also just raise your hand or interrupt me if I'm going too fast, or if you have questions. So of course your tracker will look like this. You will have all the information, their capacity, inclination, any kind of ownership things that you want to put, anything that's relevant that you feel is important. I like one of the things that you said about a person being a young person, like maybe liking golf or sports, and just all of those things are helpful because when you're working with multiple people, you'll forget those kind of interests. So you want to make sure that you kind of have it somewhere where you can have it readily available to look at. So of course you've identified them, you've qualified them, you've come up with your cultivation strategy. Now you feel like they're solicitation ready for it to be asked. And then your tracker will say, you want it, they deferred. Deferred mean like not right now, but maybe later, or I'm not interested, or they're just not qualified, and they have no interest. And I like also deferred is if a prospect decided to do a pledge. That could be fall under the deferred category as well. Your weekly acquisition tracker, activity tracker will have, of course, outcomes, highlights of gaps before the revenue is impacted. And what do I mean by that? Highlight the gaps, because I write this stuff and then I have to go back and remember why I wrote it. Highlight gaps before revenue is impacted. I don't think this applies to prospects. I think it applies more to existing donors that are in your database that you are reaching out to that have given in the past and haven't given yet. And you want to, if you've connected with them, and they realize that they're not going to give this year, you want to make sure you have a strategy in place to replace that money. Um, any questions? Okay, I'm going to keep rolling through. All right, weekly perform. Mhm. Yes? Were you asking a question or you were just saying
No, I
keep
was
moving?
saying you're good. Keep it rolling.
Yeah, I'm gonna try to give you all some of your time back today. Um, weekly performance, um, 8 to 12 new prospects added. We're starting with 25, so that is irrelevant. How many qualifications you've had and converted into a meeting, a tour, that they've actually connected with you. Because there's one thing to have a lot of people that you reached out to. And December was a prime example, but how many of those people actually connected with you? Return your phone call, return your email, decided to come on a tour. We want conversions. So that's going to mean multiple touches, multiple times to get people to respond. And then when we go over relationship mapping next week, of course, the example that I gave you, board referrals, they are goal because the board member already knows the person. If they made the referral, they've set up the meeting. Many of them not going to want to attend the meeting with you. You're on your own, but it's going to it will convert to a donor if a board has referred them. It's just the nature of the beast. Just like if a board member refers somebody to be a staff person. Like, I know a great person for this opening that you have at the organization. They usually are the ones that get hired. I mean, like literally, it's just not a good fit or they have no experience or whatever. But board, lean on that. And in your case, I say board, but we're talking about your advisory committee. And then if it's a high net worth individual, really up there, very prominent in the community, it may defer, have the conversation with Kim, and say, hey, do you know this person? Can you connect with this person with me? Or is there a board member that's more aligned? Let me give you a scenario. Say there is someone in your list of 25, you look at all the information and you find out that they are the president, they're on the board, but they're president of the board of the local, I don't know, let's say Rotary Club for lack of a better time. I can't think of in your area what an organization would be. So then you want to look at, are any of your advisory committee members or board members on the Rotary? Because then they would know that person. So you don't want to just call that person cold or start an email campaign or stalking them on social media. You want to look on social media to see who they're connected to. Look on their LinkedIn and see who their LinkedIn connected to. Because if they're connected to a board member, it's no reason for you to make that call first. Your first call is to the board member, the advisory member. In the case, if it's an executive board member, you reach out to Kim and you say, hey, or Bridget, our board members on this Rotary, and this person is the president. Can we have him facilitate or her facilitate making the introduction? Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
Yeah. So don't be a long ranger in that sense that you feel like you have to do it all yourself. Lean on the relationships because that's really really key. So you want to make sure that I just said this, informed board of engagement strategies. And that is in your case, your advisory committee. Giving them a high level overview at your meeting of who you've connected with in the area is always key. It keeps them informed, it keeps them engaged. Making sure that the CEO, which in this case, we do that in our reporting. And of course, with the VP of Resource Development, Catherine, all those folks know your daily activities, which they will see in that. New prospects are only added when they become a donor. I always say a prospect is stalled at 14 plus days that you reached out. And they haven't, so I put them in a parking lot and I'll reach out to them with a um, whatever we send that was a mass mailing or mass email blast, or just keeping them in the loop, but always asking if it's an email, the email has an ask in it. Making sure that you flag your pieces with tasks, like so you know, and you keep reminders for yourself is really key. Moving people from just prospects to now they're qualified, and what is your ask going to be? And then making sure that you follow up people that have disengaged. Maybe they get pushed to gala time, or the golf tournament. Like they're not interested in giving, but it's more important that they stay informed about what you're doing. So if it's is it Burger Bash?
Burger Battle.
Why do I want to say bash? Burger Battle. If
That
it's the
sounds good
time,
too. Burger Bash.
no, Burger Bash, Burger Battle. If it's, just say they said no. Doesn't mean that until they tell you to stop, don't contact me anymore. You keep dripping. You keep dripping, you keep dripping, you keep dripping. And it could be an invitation to the Burger Battle. It could be the Thompson Golf. It could be Youth of the Year, with the gala, whatever. Keep dripping until they say stop. If they don't say stop, that means they're still interested and they're just trying to decide. It went off.
It's coming back. Ready? Three,
You
two,
know how
one.
y'all look like the things that are out in the street. Yes, that
The
the
thing.
little
All
exactly.
right, let me chill.
Um, what
This thing's
having a
AI.
tracker what if having a tracker prevents consistent follow-up, board disengagement, and unpredictable revenue. Success after 90 days, predictable prospect inflow, shorter time to the first gift. It shortens the time to the first gift, stronger leadership visibility, and scalable donor acquisition system. Tracks are managed, we manage the funding, and then funds are sustained. So this is what? Oh, this is exactly what I said, but in a whole different format. You'll get these slides. So major gift requires patience and intentional relationship building. Use trackers to prevent high capacity prospects from falling through the cracks. Annual fund focus is exactly what we're focused on, even though we talk about major gift. Major gift is an annual gift. An annual gift happens before it becomes a major gift. Higher volume of prospects, lower individual gift amounts, shorter cultivation cycles, focus on first-time gift conversion, and strong follow-up cadence. So these are pieces that your acquisition process prioritizes speed, volume, and consistency. And the tracker ensures that your prospects don't fall through the cracks. And that is it for the day. Now I need questions, comments, next steps, because you did have homework from your last, and we got to go through the homework and then I'm going to let you go. Do you have any questions about what we covered today?
I do not.
Okay, so I need one of you to pull up the email that you got from Julius or wherever you have it, the summary report, because you had homework and I don't remember exactly what it was.
I don't remember what the homework was either, if I'm being completely honest.
Well, we're gonna find it together.
Okay.
I'm trying to find it. I get so many emails from Julius. I just don't know which one it is. Hold on.
You do? That's good.
He does email us a lot. Resource development training.
I think that's it. all the way to
Organize
bottom.
follow-ups and to-dos. Review the full market study list. Confirm which prospects exist in the CRM. Email Sharon a prioritized list of prospects requiring deeper expedited profiles for immediate targeting. Prepare to discuss.
Got it, well,
Ashland's is provide/resend the additional zip codes to Sharon for the inclusion in the market study. Review the forthcoming prospects profiles for her assigned region once they're generated. Begin preliminary database checks to identify existing records and data gaps. Discuss cultivation sequencing and relationship mapping within the next session.
Where are you seeing this?
If you go to Julius and then resource development training summary, it's
That one?
mm, is this all of them?
Yep. Uh-uh.
Let me see.
you see it?
We're looking for it. Let me see when this is from.
Did it go to junk?
Maybe. It's from Wednesday, the 28th. At 9:13 a.m. Yeah.
I found it. Maybe.
Yeah, that's it. Go back up.
Mm-hmm.
It's the resource development, that one.
The cheat sheet?
Nope. The RD training
Oh.
summarized.
Okay, so I have to go in and to find out the homework assignment, I have to open the attachment and read all the summary from our meeting.
They are important. Just saying. All right, so obviously we haven't done the homework. So what's the plan? What would you like to do?
I want to do the homework on Monday because I've got a funeral at 3:00, sadly.
I'm sorry for your loss.
you.
Monday sounds good. What about you, Ashley?
I'll just do it Monday right after we meet Sharon, and then I'll email it to you by the end of Monday. I'll put that on my calendar right now.
I forgot to resend you the zip code, the additional zip code. I'll find that email and then forward it to you. And
Sounds
then,
good.
So I'm just waiting on the profiles from our region to be generated. And then, yeah, that looks like what I need to do is just forward you that thing again.
Yep, and if you go down preparation for next training, which we didn't do, you're gonna identify at least 5 to 10 priority prospects for deeper discussion. And then
Okay.
you're gonna be prepared next week with an outline of initial cultivation strategy for those, let's say 10. I don't want to say 5 to 10, let's just come up with 10. So you're gonna bring to your next meeting, and we're gonna start the meeting with your individual cultivation strategy that you've designed for 10 of the prospects on in your prospect list, including potential entry points, messaging angles, next step actions. My takeaway of what I'm going to provide is a tracking system for you. So you will have that by end of day today. You probably won't look at it, but till Monday, but I'm going to make sure it's in your inbox. And I think
Yeah, I need to confirm who from the list you sent me back is in our CRM. And
that's the
then,
first thing you all both need to do. Because
Yes.
if they're not a prospect if they're already in CRM. So if you don't do anything else before we meet on Monday, or sometime on Monday, because really the exercise isn't going to happen until next Friday. But we need to know of the list who is, and I haven't run your new zip codes, Ryan. So, but who on the list is already
I
there?
sent you
And
mine.
actually, we already knew one person from your first list was.
Yeah.
So we need to
I
take
sent you
them
my
out.
zip codes last Friday.
You did send them to me. I just haven't run them.
I thought
Yeah.
you were saying that I needed to
No,
send
you
it to you.
sent them, and they're right here open. I just need to run it today.
Okay.
Yeah,
So I'm pretty much just going to go through once I have that. And if they're not in the CRM, we mark them down as high potential based on their market cap.
correct,
Okay.
correct, correct. All
All right.
right,
And then I'll work through like if I know them or not, or if we can find any warm connections.
exactly.
And I'll make my 10 priority list before we meet next.
10 priority list is going to be important with the cultivation strategy. It's not just the list. These are the 10 people that I'm going to reach out to the second week of February. And this is the strategy I'm going to use. And so, based on all the information, you'll have the slide deck for reference. Based on all the information, come up with a strategy. And please just don't tell me I'm going to send them an email. That's not a strategy.
Okay.
No, that's not. That's annoying.
Do I need to pick 10 people from the Washington County list that you've originally sent me?
Yeah,
Okay. Sounds good.
because because you're a new zip code. I did the census, um, poverty level and income home level value. We're not going to work. I mean, I'm not that interested right now in working with that.
Okay.
So let's use Washington County for now. And we have to develop a study for that other zip code, but that's another discussion for another time.
Okay.
Do you have an advisory committee out there?
Mm-hmm.
Have you met with them or are you meeting with them?
I met with them already.
All right. So let's talk about that on Monday.
Okay.
Because I think it's just gonna take a whole different mindset.
I agree.
Yeah, we need to put our heads together and figure out what we want to do there.
Okay.
All right. Thank you
Wonderful.
much. Oh my
Well,
goodness,
I'll
it's
talk to you on
like,
Monday.
all right, have a good weekend.
You too.
See you.
All right, take care. Bye.
Bye.